Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Ryan with From Corners Unknown. I'm joined with Connor. This is Voices from Corners Unknown. Man, we're on episode 12, is that right?
Yeah.
Man, okay.
It's pretty crazy. It went by fast.
Yeah, I can't believe how many we've done so far. Yeah, so this is our 12th episode. Welcome, and thank you for listening. We have a few records to discuss, as per usual, 3 records. No Ambient on this one, actually. We usually try and make that into the rotation, but I guess we'll try and compensate in the next episode for that. We got some outsider hardcore, as the band describes it, or kind of like this hardcore mathcore record, and then we have this interesting record that's a kind of a blend of post-metal, black metal, doom metal, post-rock, and some other genres that we'll get to discussing. And then we kind of have this cavernous punk D-beat hardcore record. And yeah, I probably should have mentioned the names of the albums, but we're going to be talking about all 3 throughout. So where do you want to start? Start off
we
on this adventure, man.
Should start with Pissblood.
Okay, let's do it. So, were you able to find much on these guys? I know that I'm pretty sure this band's from Portland. They've been releasing. This is their self-titled debut LP. And they released it on this Portland, Oregon label, and I cannot say this word. I've tried saying it aloud multiple times before we started recording, and I still can't do it. I think it's, Vrasubatlet?
Vrasubatlet.
Yeah, it's a very complicated record label. But it looks like, the artwork, it looks like almost like the back of someone's throat, like kind of like they're almost like you're looking down their uvula or whatever that little thing hanging. I don't know what that is. But they seem to be kind of this mysterious and interesting label. This kind of like this dark, lo-fi, really interesting underground music. A lot of black and white, monochromatic colors.
Yeah, you can barely even read the font in some of the parts on their band.
Yeah, every time I open it up, I have to hit Control-A to highlight the whole thing because I can't read shit on the screen. It's so the contrast is it's almost the exact same color. I can barely read anything.
Yeah, it's like dark gray over black. It's like
right, yeah. Yeah, but this is a record label. I think that they've been around for a decent bit. This is the first time I discovered this record label, actually. I was a little surprised to see they were in Portland. And this band, Pissblood, they had an EP titled Fever Dreams of Delirium, and that came out December 2016 on this label. And this record of theirs, they're self-titled. It came out... that just came out about 10 days ago, so June 4th, 2018. And I stumbled across this completely on accident, just kind of trolling through the Bandcamp Discover, and just, thought the artwork was interesting, and I think this is a pretty interesting concatenation or smashing together of sounds. I don't know how you feel about this, but it should be interesting to talk about. Do you have any background details? Did you do any deeper digging than I on this?
I mean, yeah, you're right. There wasn't really much to find. Like, it's another one of those bands where I couldn't find a Facebook page.
Nope.
Like, Bandcamp, you usually find out some information, but Facebook tends to have a little bit more.
Right, they have no...
But in this case, I don't think they have one. And then the blogger page, I was just confused more. But
yeah, it's kind of like they're like, oh, hey, we're releasing some stuff, and you're like, okay, cool, this is great. And then it's like there's nothing. It's almost all the content that you see on Bandcamp is pretty comparable to what you see on their blogger, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just kind of like a running tally of, it's like a chronology of all the things they're releasing, and the oldest stuff is at the bottom and the newest stuff is at the top. That's the best I can describe it.
Like, you don't even get like the band members' names. It's just
Nope.
the whole,
Nope.
first letter of their name.
Yes, it is R. Yep. So we have RMONB, and we don't even really. I guess I could figure out where it was recorded and who was mixed and mastered by if I really knew my recording studios, but I do not. So I am completely at a loss to describe this band in any more detail, at least from like a background perspective. So let's go into the music a bit. What would you think about this one? I know when we were texting back and forth a little bit, and I know you said it sounded interesting, but I don't know how you felt after you listened to it. Did you like how did it strike you initially, and after multiple listens?
Well, first off, I'm not really too big on lo-fi stuff.
Right. I understand that. Yeah.
But I get the aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
I can respect it for what it is.
It's just not your thing so much.
Yeah, I can get into the instruments. It's just really the vocals of lo-fi that I'm kind of just like.
Yeah. I think on this record, I don't know if I would necessarily call this album like lo-fi per se. I don't think that'd be correct to say, and we could disagree on that. But the vocals, the way that they're kind of delivered and they're kind of distorted, it sounds like they're kind of shouting in like a cave or something, and they're kind of like echoing and ricocheting all around you while you're listening to it. And
Yeah.
I mean, you really can't understand a word. I mean, I couldn't understand a word except for when they repeated the song title. I was like, oh, I know what they're saying. They're saying, smash knees. Oh, I know what they're saying. And that's the only thing I could surmise throughout all the listens, just the song titles. I couldn't figure out anything else just because there's so much. I don't even know. I don't know enough. I don't have enough music vernacular. Like if it's just like a lot of reverb or it's just kind of like all hollowed out and echoey, it's really hard to figure out what they're saying.
Yeah.
But other than that, what'd you think about it?
But other than that, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't listen to it over and over again. It kind of I had to be in the right mood to listen to this.
Sure.
Song,
No, I get that. I get that.
I couldn't force myself to listen to this one.
Sure.
But I liked it. It had some cool instrumentals going on.
Right.
The drums are always just smashing in your face, chaotic noise.
Yes.
And it kept kind of like a nice beat to it too.
Yeah. There was a nice. I thought that there was a real nice dynamic between the songs. There's kind of like this, slow, seedy underbelly, and then it would kind of lurch out at you and kind of do more like quickened D-beat style songs. I guess this album opens up with just it's 3 dashes, and that's just kind of your traditional intro song. It just kind of has all instrumentals, and it just kind of sets the mood a little bit and kind of gets you. It kind of builds an expectation of what's to come, and then you get Smash Knees. If you wanna, we could talk about that a bit if you want. But essentially, it kind of after that Smash Knees song starts, the following song gets shorter, and then the following, and they're like the songs kind of do this longer song, shorter song, longer song, and it's kind of like a nice little dynamic that keeps it keeps it interesting because I think it's only it's like 21 minutes, so it's a pretty quick listen, but I think it's a good way to kind of keep your attention in it. Keeps the energy up quite a bit. And were there any particular songs you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I enjoyed Smash Knees quite a bit.
Yeah.
The second track.
Yeah.
How the previous song leads right into this one, kind of.
Yes.
They kind of did that whole kind of theme we kind of see in deep beat and hardcore music where they have the feedback at the beginning and ending the song.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But this one was fun. It had some kind of groovy instruments in a way, and
yes.
Yeah, the vocals are just so hollow. And then there's that one point where you hear the lyrics. She's like, "You fucking hypocrite." That's the only part I understood besides the Smash Knees.
Yeah, you got better. Okay, you have a better ear than I. That's good. That's good. I'm glad that we pieced together 2 sentences, or 2 phrases of this. I really like. Yeah, this one is great. I really enjoyed this song as well. Just kind of there's so much sludginess and filthiness to like the guitar and bass tone too. Like it's just so like just
It's dirty.
filthy, yeah. And then the way the vocals kind of play off of it, kind of you get like these sludgy subterranean punk hardcore riffs that are kind of mulling along, and some of it's it's not as catchy, and in some moments you get some nice headbanging moments, but the way the vocals are kind of just like retching, and they're just kind of echoing above you, and then there are some really cool little just little accentuations in the voice where it almost sounds like he's vomiting blood in some parts. It's like a nice little touch to kind of keep it interesting.
It reminded me of kind of just like a pissed off dog.
Yeah.
But like, kind of distorted.
Right.
So, in a way, the vocals in this album are kind of just another instrument.
Right. Yeah. They kind of take on an interesting form, and they even describe, when they say Pissblood is on the album description, it just says throat and guitar. And it's, I think that's like an accurate descriptor. It's almost like the words may not even necessarily need to be fully understood. It's just kind of these guttural, disgusting belches that are coming from this guy's esophagus.
Like, these aren't vocals. These are straight up just sounds.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then I guess if we wanted to dig into another song or two, I really like the follow-up track, the Decimate / Crucify. Yeah, you kind of get this nice cacophonous blend of instrumentation, and it has more speed than Smash Knees. Like it kind of has a bit more of a kick, a breakneck speed.
Yeah, much more faster paced.
Yeah, and there are like cool little guitar, like hardcore-esque accentuations, kind of like those little twangy bits. That kind of reminds me of Converge or some other hardcore bands. They kind of
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, they kind of like. I wish I could describe guitar playing.
If we were, it's fucking. Oh, never mind. I'll cut that out. Lost my thought. No, it's funny. In my notes, though, I'm like, the song straight up sounds like a fucking train wreck. It's great.
No, it is great. And I really enjoy the intensity of the song. But I would say, of all the tracks, I think Chains, the fourth track, that's probably my favorite one, and that's to the extent that the riff is just so.
Oh, dude.
It's so menacing. It has like this undulating, and I've already used this word as a descriptor, but like subterranean, and like the bass line is just like it's so guttural and so punchy. Yeah, and it just like got me a little riled up. Like like hair standing on end. I was just like, when I was in the right mood and listening to this, I was like, man, this would be so awesome, or like just it would be so visceral to see them play this live. I could see people just losing their shit.
I agree.
Yeah, it kind of has just, and it's not super fast, but it just has like that perfect. They just hit that beat so well, and I don't know, it just has like this moshy, really.
Yeah. You can just see everybody just fucking.
Yeah, like you can see
in like a circle pit or something.
Right,
it's kind of crazy.
Right. Like they come out and they play a song, you're like, oh, cool, all right, and they play that song, and people are like, oh shit, it's about to go off, and like that's like I would if they actually are from Portland, I would love to try and catch these guys sometime. But I think that's my favorite track, specifically because there's some really nice, chuggy. So at moments like some chuggy hardcore, but like just like that filthy catchy riff. I know catchy is not a great word to really describe. It doesn't really match up with the sound, but I think that's probably, it's a pretty good representation of what you may get, save the other tracks that are a little more, a little more upbeat and in your face. But yeah, do you have any other tracks you want to talk about?
I liked Acid Burn quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. It had like some nice beats to it.
Yep.
And I dig like the feedback that was used in that track. But I don't know. It's another track. It's kind of in a way like Chains too. It's just like the guttural, this menacing vocals and dirty instruments.
Right.
And like that one also kind of had a headbanging rhythm, in my opinion.
Yes. Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Sometimes I think we get a little jaded by what we quantify as headbanging. You know, some people be like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, nah, dude. Like it's like, I think you and I are on the same boat or on the same wavelength with that kind of stuff.
I just want to go into like meathead mode and just fucking like, you know, get all aggressive.
That's funny. Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, overall though, I think that this is a great this is succinct, nice, a nice LP, and it's pretty noisy. There's a good amount of feedback, and everything is just kind of caked in this. I don't know, just like in just this filth. It's just punky and nice blend of hardcore. And this band inspired me a bit to go look at another couple like Japanese bands, because they explicitly say, oh, we take, this is kind of our influences are American hardcore and Japanese D-beat. And I was like, oh, yeah. Japanese D-beat, like why would you use the word Japanese? Like I just didn't understand like that there was like a scene of it. And I went and listened to this band called Disclose, and god damn, that is some raw fucking D-beat. Like I was not expecting, like it was so noisy, and like you could hear the riffs and all that, but man, and I was like, okay, I could see some of the influence of that in this record. All right, so that brings us to our second record. Which one do you want to talk about?
I'm down to talk about the album "A Ring of Blue Light" by
A Ring of Blue Light. Okay.
I'm gonna apologize for this one. It's a Belgian band, Hemelbestormer.
Yes, that sounds about.
Which
I'm not.
Yeah, they were.
I'm not gonna even try saying that.
Here we go again. Voices from guys who can't speak well or pronounce things right.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Hemelbestormer were established in 2012. And they came out with the album A Ring of Blue Light, and I believe April 17th, 2018.
Right, that's correct, yep.
And yeah, they're like this strange, like, doom, atmospheric, post-metal, post-rock instrumental band.
Yes. Yeah, and
yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they're great. How did you come across these guys? Because this was the one that you tossed into the pot for us to talk about. How'd you find these guys?
Well, after about 20 pages of digging through band camps like metal genres, I'm like, oh, dude, this album cover looks sick.
Yeah, it's a great album.
The album cover it's pretty magical. It's like this crazy like Matterhorn looking mountain coming out of like the winter epic landscape of these waterfalls, icy waterfalls pouring down into this kind of canyon.
It almost looked,
and there's like a blue ring over the mountain with the stars.
Yeah,
and the clouds.
It almost reminds me of it almost looks like a strange Photoshop. I mean, not, I don't want to, strange isn't a great word, but it almost looks like Niagara Falls, like an iced over Niagara Falls, like right in front of this gigantic, like the Matterhorn style mountain as you described. It's like, I look at it and I'm like, man, I just want to go scale that summit. Like it almost is like a weirdly inspiring piece of artwork. I don't know how else to really encapsulate that thought.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, dude, it's just epic overall.
Yeah,
I read that Hemelbestormer. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
I think it's it's Hemelbestormer, not
Bestormer.
Yeah, you don't have to say Bestormer. I know that we're this is an English class, but yes. Anyway, as you were saying.
But yeah, it's in Dutch. It can be translated to Stormer of Heaven.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool name. Like that's a pretty awesome metal band name, I'd say.
Right, and it apparently is given to those with revolutionary minds and idealists.
Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of speaks to the overall flavor of the music that these guys produce, in my opinion. kind of like that forward thinking, you know. If you were to characterize the music as that way, just kind of like such an interesting blend of sounds and styles in a way. But yeah, and
definitely.
but I talked way too much about the Pissblood record. So what are you what was it about this record that like struck you, and like let's get into some of the music and start describing it.
Well, I like how they had a lot of those, this epic instrumental, like melodic greatness, like that you would see in, like progressive metal or post-rock, post-metal.
Right.
But then they added a lot of the like darker, kind of atmospheric noises.
Yes.
That you'd see just like in sludge and doom.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
And like the way they combined those two sounds was just so, I don't know, like amazing.
Yeah.
Epic.
Yeah, no, it really is remarkable. When I listened to this the first time, I was like, holy shit, how have I never come across these guys? And now it's like this album only came out 2 months ago, but I'm looking forward to whatever they come out with next already based on this.
Right. And like you said earlier, it makes you want to, scale a summit.
Yeah.
Which, in a lot of ways, they remind me of the band Scale of Summit.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But there's definitely a more darker, spacey vibe.
Right. I would say, like, if we were to, I could say from maybe, like, a progressive and, like, maybe, like, the adventurous aspect, I could get that, but, yeah.
But yeah, let's dive into the music.
Yeah.
Well, the opener track,
yes,
8 Billion Stars, really kind of just, throws you in there. Those sludgy guitar riffs and these atmospheric melodic greatness, and like I don't know, there's just so many layers. It's kind of hard to single down like parts of the song, but like, and parts of the song you hear these weird like twinkling noises, like stars, like 8 billion stars just twinkling and shimmering through,
right?
And I don't know. What do you have to say about that song? But,
I found that song to be quite like almost like a rush. It almost kind of placed me in the album's artwork in a way, like the way the song kind of cracks open with these droning, reverbing riffs. And then the drums come in and they kind of have this tribal, like this super heavy and dense, like this bellowing, like kind of like just like this epicness to it, where it makes you feel like you're kind of walking up, like you're kind of eyeing the summit and you're like almost walking up to the base of the mountain to try and ascend it. That's kind of the feeling I got when listening to it. And then, as you said, kind of like that twinkling sound, and I think that's probably it's just because I love noise. The way that they use synth, and they use synth a lot in this album, which I find really awesome. And it kind of like creates, like that twinkling, kind of like a frosty, like a frosty, or just kind of like a dark night sky. And then they kind of have that. But yeah, the way they use the synth, and then the song almost, it kind of has more of as you're kind of looking at the summit, if you were to be placing yourself in this, the way they have this these kind of dense, doomy atmospheres, like they're kind of playing some doom notes, and it has it kind of shifts into like this little rock structure bit, but then it has like this really nice passage of like this epic post metal, and it's kind of tinged with black metal, and it kind of has like this airiness to it. They kind of use the black metal, like the tremolo picking, to kind of like create this nice wash of like Arctic ambience in a way, or at least it kind of creates like this frigidness to it. I know I'm going on and on about this, but this song, I think that this is one of my more favorite songs on this album, just because it's such a mood setter, and I don't know, it really just has, it seems to have just such a opening and closing to it, because when it closes, it has kind of those tribal drums again that kind of open up the track, and it just kind of feels like this little chapter of this epic novel, or like this epic, like if you like an Icelandic saga or something, it kind of gives you that feeling like you kind of went through this small perilous journey, and then it's like you're moving on to the next thing.
Yeah. They really just encompass all their talents right there in the first song. And they don't let down for the rest of the album, though, because they just keep delivering.
Right. Yeah, and
But,
the second track, Clusters, is an interesting... They have a couple interesting bits, because that song is pretty much just like a long, reverbed out drone piece. I mean, it's not that long of a song, but it's just like a drone piece. Like, it's just kind of like this... And they kind of put...
It's like kind of grainy, and just darker sounding in tone.
Right. And then I honestly also really liked that Towards the Nebula song, the third song. I thought that was a really good one as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it definitely had like kind of like a space vibes with this weird kind of echoing radar noise.
Yeah.
Like you can hear like a faint like noise, like voice almost.
Yeah, that was something I was going to try and ask you a bit about, because I was listening to this record, or I was listening to, so if we want to talk about this song in a bit more detail, the song opens with more kind of like just like traditional post rock in a way. Like,
yeah, definitely. It's like more upbeat and kind of like, I don't know, whittling of guitars.
Right. It's a little surprising, and I really enjoyed it. But when I first heard it, I was like, wow, this is lighter than I was expecting. But I kind of liked how it kind of subverted, or it kind of made me like it kind of latched onto me a bit more. But yeah, they have like this really weird like scratchy bit of synth, and it almost sounds like. Did it almost sound like a drill or something like that? Like a drill bit kind of going off? I don't know.
Yeah, I got that. It's definitely sounded like kind of like metallic and industrial in some parts of the track. It's faintly.
Yeah, and I was wondering what they were going for on that. Do you have any sentiments or feelings or thoughts on that?
I kind of had this vibe that like, yeah, you're suddenly in space or something.
Right.
And it's just like these just ambient space, like maybe spaceship noises.
I don't know. Yeah. Like it's definitely a little. I mean, it's a little out of place from my perspective relative to the aesthetic of the album based on the artwork. But yeah, I found it interesting. I mean, the first time I heard it, I was like, I don't really get it. And the more I listened to it, I'm like, well, yeah, it's noise. You know, it's just like pure noise. I'm like, oh yeah, I love this, obviously. But it doesn't, I don't really know how it like kind of ties together what they're doing per se. I thought that was an interesting
maybe
moment,
like they're just experimenting with tracks and just going all together.
Yeah. But I think that kind of highlights what you can expect from this record, is that each track embodies its own identity in a way. Like they all kind of
definitely.
Yeah, like they kind of all have like their own, like it kind of all comes together in one cohesive thing, and like one cohesive beast. But each track has such so like the riffs are really tight, and you know, just like the experimentation, like each track you're like, oh, I like this song because of this, and I like that song because of that. Like it's not
like each song could stand alone by themselves.
Exactly. You know, like yeah, and I really enjoyed it in that respect. That was probably my favorite aspect.
You can really just like pick up anywhere in the album.
Yes.
And just listen to it.
Exactly. But yeah, there's the I think on Towards the Nebula, that's the third track. That track I really like the way it kind of has those there's a really neat dynamic where it kind of has this airy post-rock bit, and then it kind of slams down into like these doomy notes. Like it kind of is like airy, and then it kind of just drops into like the surface of, like it just kind of drops really low, you know, and it kind of keeps doing this up and down motion with the riffing, and I really love that.
Really keeps you like still like focused on what's happening in the song.
Right, yeah. And then the way that track ends as well, there's kind of like this awesome thick tide pool of synth that kind of like washes out or kind of consumes all the instruments in a way.
Yeah, and you think it kind of like grows
Yes.
and then it dissipates.
Yes.
And then you think it's going to end the track, but then there's like another minute of like it growing again.
Right.
And then dissipating again. I kind of dug that.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed that bit a lot. Yeah, and I guess I really don't have like overall like too many. Yeah, like I mean the problem with this record, I mean it's not a problem, but I mean we could discuss each track individually and it would take us a while. I think, how'd you feel about the fourth track, Redshift? Like what were your thoughts on that one?
That one was pretty interesting. It starts off like kind of more darker and eerie, like
Yeah.
this strange like atmospheric kind of, I don't know, just dark ambient vibe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And there's like this wind kind of lurking through.
Right.
And then you get this like weird electronic like beat.
Yes.
That part was like, huh?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I kind of liked it. At the same time, I'm like, this is strange.
Right. Yeah, I kind of found, to be frank, like of all these songs, I found this one to be probably my least favorite, only because, yeah, like as you were describing, it almost feels like they took a couple, or at least the opening part of the song, it feels like they just wrote a short track and then just kind of sutured it together with this one, because
they just pieced together just different tracks.
yeah, because it kind of goes on. It like the intro is like 2.5-ish minutes long, and then it kind of just ends, and then the next part starts. And I mean,
yeah, and they just don't really connect well together.
yeah. There's not too much flow, and there's some interesting bits on here. But I guess maybe I just found parts of the track a little repetitive. Maybe I'm just too jaded with all my music listening, and there are just some things that just don't engage me as much anymore. And this is also the longest track on the record. I think it's like 14 plus minutes. It's a pretty lengthy track to listen to.
I feel like that's kind of a problem when you listen to like post rock and post metal, though.
Yeah.
Even progressive metal, like it can, like when the song's like that long, it can get pretty repetitive.
Yeah, and I mean that is probably one of my biggest issues with that genre in general, especially when outfits don't necessarily innovate upon it, because you'd be like, oh cool, I have a post rock song or a post metal song. It's like, okay, but it kind of they tend to follow a pretty rigid structure, in my opinion. But what I like about these guys is they definitely mix it up enough. They kind of like sprinkle in those tremolo pick, those black metal moments, and they mix in some ambience, and they kind of break it up. It's just on that track specifically, it kind of got to me a little bit. I kind of felt a bit of fatigue setting in. I get that. Some number of minutes in. But
then the next track, it's just like it's so different.
Yes.
It's almost,
I love that. No, in the last two songs,
it's like
are
refreshing.
superb. Yes.
And
oh yeah.
I think.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if they did that on purpose. Like they kind of have this long song that just. Yeah.
You know that.
And then you get to the short guy that's just like it's like really upbeat and just kind of magical. Refreshing.
Actually, that may change my mind a bit on my sentiments on that, because I know I'm being a bit of a curmudgeon. But now that you describe it that way, I could see, and this may be intentional or not, but I could definitely see them being like, oh, it kind of feels like an arduous, like kind of a long, drawn-out process, like it's supposed to kind of fatigue you, like you're kind of, like you're kind of trudging up the mountain or whatever the theme is going on here, like it kind of drains you, and then when you get to the following track, as you were just describing, it's kind of like this nice respite, like you kind of get this nice beautiful vista from all the work you've been doing to scale. I don't know, I always like to think about these things like a little more, tie a story to it.
It's really cool to add a story to an album.
Yeah
especially when it's instrumental and you don't have any lyrics to
Exactly.
kind of change how you think about a song.
Exactly, but that fifth track called Blue Light, it's just like this nice little post-rock, like just like super gentle and twinkly, and it's amazing.
It's definitely the most post-rock thing on the album, I would say.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those songs, kind of like the drone piece. It's almost like a little companion piece to the drone segment. It's like a short little bit, but it just kind of
definitely.
gets you, it kind of carries you over to the next track. It kind of gets you ready for it.
Yeah, and it almost kind of reminds me of just times I've had by myself in the snow,
Right. Okay. Yeah,
Like,
sure.
Yeah, like earlier this year I was in Tahoe and I was just by the lake, like in the snow, just kind of staring off into the snowy mountain peaks.
Right.
And like every time I heard the song, I kind of related back to that
Interesting.
moment.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. No, and that's a good point. That does kind of make me yearn, even though it doesn't snow that much in Oregon. It kind of made me yearn for like grayer skies.
Right. I see like snow from every one day in California.
Right.
Like just
right.
when I'm on a trip.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know if you want to go into the last track or if you think we've discussed this one. I mean,
we've gone for a while, but maybe we just quickly go over it. Like it's another long song.
Yeah.
And this one had more of kind of the same themes. There's a strange kind of radio, television frequency voices going on.
Right. And
there's all this crazy different tempos and atmospheric wind.
You get some like...
You could talk about it forever because it's 13 minutes long.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of another, like sludgy, doomy, heavy riffs, and you kind of get... It kind of coils and rises, like it kind of feels... Oh, I don't know. I was trying to relate it again to, the Serpent Bear, the name of the track.
Yeah, definitely. Well, at the end, you get just kind of this slower tempo.
Yes.
And then you get these, like, war drums going on for, like, the last minute or so. Where it's just, like, doosh, doosh, doosh.
Yes, exactly.
And then at the very last 5 seconds, you hear this weird, like, slithering sound.
Oh,
like
interesting. I did not pick that up on that.
That's kind of cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was nice.
But yeah, how would you summarize this for folks? Would you recommend this for people to check out?
It's a good one. Like I almost feel like it like bridges the dark ambient world to post metal and like post rock, and
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's just like a nice instrumental album with lots of different aspects to it.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to listen to the whole album. You can just jump into a song and it's like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, and I think it could easily it could be an interesting way to gateway some people who are curious about heavier sides of music. Like if, folks who are listening maybe aren't huge Doom fans, but they're more ambient or post rock fans. There may be some aspects that can kind of get you to appreciate or make you see like what's so awesome about like heavy, unrelenting, like just skull crushing doom music, because these guys do it so well. They just kind of, they build their foundation on doom and some post elements, but then they bring in those nice airy passages of post rock, and it just and they layer in the twinkling synth. And there's just so much going on. Each listen, I'm just like, oh shit, I didn't even notice that, and I didn't notice this, and it just keeps growing. It like just keeps swelling the more I listen to it, just because I pick up on all these different textures. But yeah, the use of synth is probably one of my favorite aspects of this. It kind of reminds me of that band. I don't know if you ever listened to the stoner doom band Ufamamu from Italy. I mean, they're more.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, they're more stoner, but they make a huge like synth is an integral component of their sound, and I appreciate what these guys do with the integration of synth. Consistently kind of lulling along and kind of being omnipresent throughout. It kind of keeps you engaged, and it just adds a different dimension to music, and it seems like that's becoming a little more of a trend in some heavier music. Like I'm noticing a lot more use of that. But anyway, I definitely recommend this one for folks to check out. It is a bit of a beefy listen. It's like almost an hour long, so it's a listen, but it's definitely something where I recommend turning up the speakers as loud as you can without pissing off your neighbors or getting a citation and just kind of getting drowned in the sound.
Yep, it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. Think about this, or if it's something you like. Cool. And that brings us to our last album, which is Everything is Pornography If You Have an Imagination by Intercourse. Man,
what an album.
Dude, I ran across these guys a while ago, actually, when I was doing my voices from, or not voices, Jesus Christ, man. I was setting up my I was doing the From Corners of the Known compilation. Jesus, I cannot speak. Back in October of last year, and I stumbled upon these guys. When they released one of their albums, or I guess I came across them, like November 2017, they dropped an album titled I Honestly Don't Care When or How I Die Anymore. And I was like, man, that is a fucking awesome title.
I can relate to that.
Yes, exactly. I can relate to that wholeheartedly. And, I never reached out for whatever reason, and then I just kind of tabulated it. I said, I kind of put them, I just followed them on Bandcamp, and then when this popped up, I'm like, oh, I forgot I even followed these guys, and I listened to this record, and I was like, Jesus Christ. And at first, I really wasn't sure what to think about it, because it's so strange. I don't know how to describe it. It's so strange, but it's
so strangely amazing.
It's amazing, though. Yeah, the more I listen to it, I swear this may be one of my favorite releases of the year so far. I really love this. And I don't know. It's one of those things where it's just it shouldn't. I don't know. When you describe it, it just sounds like it could be a total fucking train wreck. But when you listen to it, there's just so much animosity, and there's so much energy, and there's so much the lyrics too. Oh my god, the lyrics and their delivery, it's just brilliant, front to back, and I just love, and it's hilarious too. I was I was laughing at my desk the last week, just I was reading the lyrics and listening to it. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is brilliant. I don't know.
Yep, I feel the same way then.
So how'd you do we have any background on these guys before we get into the album or the music a bit?
Yeah, Intercourse is from New Haven, Connecticut, and I got there established in 2014.
Yep, that looks. Yep, that's unless they had demos but I couldn't figure anything out on that.
At least officially established.
Yes, on Bandcamp for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and the album was released March 17th, 2018.
Yep.
And then I got two different labels. I don't know if they've released two different, or multiple different, pieces of music.
Media or something. Yeah.
But I liked the one label called Constant Disappointment Records.
Yes.
And the other one's iTape Records.
Yeah, I looked at their their merch page, the band's merch page, and they had a shirt, and it had Constant Disappointment Records, and it had just it was an image, it had the band Intercourse's stuff on there, and there was a little logo, and it was just a guy with his head in his hand, just on a chair, he was just incomplete, he was just super depressing. Yeah. He just drank himself into a coma or something.
Dude, I think they should make a shirt where it says Constant Disappointment Records and there's an arrow pointing up at your face now. I would wear that shit every day.
That's actually a good idea. I wear that too.
Right? But yeah, and then they claim that their influences are, bands like Unsane, Piss Jeans, Dead Guy.
Right.
And then you got some punk stuff like Black Flag and then you got Converge and Jesus Lizard.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Butthole Surfers.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, I can see a lot of the influences within their music though.
Yeah, and it comes together in such a way that it's wholly unique. Listening to this, and yeah, I guess we can. It's I'm gonna have a bit of a hard time dissecting this just because it's such a clusterfuck of sound.
Oh yeah, dude.
They're the instrumentation, the riffing, the drumming, it's all so tight, and each song just kind of has these. I don't know. I guess we could start with let's just start with the lyrics, maybe. I don't know. What do you think about that? The
lyrics are definitely, in my opinion, the lyrics stand out the most in this album.
Yes.
For one, they're hilarious, but then if you look at them harder,
they're actually
there's a lot of deeper meaning to it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of political stuff going on and just social stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's just great.
Yeah, I thought when I was listening to this, they described themselves on their Facebook page as outsider hardcore, and that got me thinking. And when I read the lyrics and listen to that, listen to the songs, it almost feels like you kind of you give your subconscious or something like a microphone, and it's like this guy, the vocalist, is kind of just like screaming out all the thoughts
Right.
that you can't say out loud, or like you just don't like, you kind of think but you don't, like, you know, like what you think in your conscience, and you just don't blurt it out, and he just kind of just screams it, and he does it in such a way where it just feels like, I don't know, it's just such a cathartic, and it's just funny too, like just the way he says it, and like the way he kind of delivers some of the lines, like he's kind of like talking to himself in like kind of like this weird way. Yeah,
definitely. It definitely, you know, resonates with people, I think, like us, that just have like these dark humor,
right,
just
right,
his attitude towards life.
Exactly.
But yeah, he's just like, he just lets it out. He's just like, here it fucking is.
Right. Yeah, like the opening song, Piled, which is a great song. It's almost like he's like writing a letter to his counselor almost. And just the line when he's just like, I was sitting in front of a mall eating a hot dog wrapped in a pretzel, and some older kids came by and laughed at me, so now I don't eat hot dogs in public anymore. And I was just like, but it's like he's describing like this irrational fear, and it's just like you know, just like those descriptions, like there's something so genuine about it, and the way he delivers it is hilarious.
Right? Like, that could be something real that happened in your childhood.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
And it definitely still haunts you to this day,
exactly.
even though it's such like a meaningless thing, but like it affected you.
Exactly, but that's what I love about it, is like there's such a genuine, like there's just something so genuine about the way the lyrics are delivered, and like the words themselves. Like when I just listen to it, I feel like this guy is kind of opening himself up more.
Yeah, he's just letting out like these strange inner thoughts.
Yes, and I think that's what elevates this record so much for me. Just kind of transcends the music itself, and it makes me just appreciate the music. I don't think I've latched on to a band with like lyricism in like a good while. Like, you know, you can read band lyrics here and there, and sometimes, you know, they're kind of generic or whatever, but this band, like, that was like the first thing that grabbed me when I listened to these guys, and I appreciate the fuck out of it, just because there are so many, I don't know, it doesn't seem like a shit ton of folks generally, you know, I mean, you care about the lyrics here and there, but yeah, just the way it's all kind of put together here
really stands out.
Yeah.
But instrumentally, though, it's like just super caustic and just in your face, you know.
They got
it's good. Some reason the Powell song reminded me of the 90s. Like, I can't even describe why it does.
Interesting. Okay.
It just gave me this 90s vibe. I'm like, oh, it's just like my childhood.
Right.
Like early years of childhood.
Maybe it's the lyrics, too. Maybe they kind of like pull you back, and you're just like, oh man, I'm thinking about the time I was a kid, and all like the weird social anxiety I may have had for, you know, like, just like, it's irrational now when you look back on it, but it's still like, it's still fucked with your head, right? Like, it still affects you in some way, even though you're an adult.
Yep.
And you know you shouldn't be bothered by it, but you're still bothered by it.
Life.
Yes. But yeah, the instrumentation, I guess, we should probably get into a couple songs to really get in, to really try and describe it. But do you have any songs in particular you want to discuss?
Cuckold the Family Ghost.
Yeah.
The second track's pretty good.
Yes.
It's like only a minute long, but the instrumentals are so just chaotic and crazy.
Yeah.
That's one reminded me of Converge in a way.
Yeah. Very intense, and it's kind of like, it's kind of like this wall, like the riff is just kind of like, it's like, it just doesn't break the tension. Like, it kind of builds it, and it just kind of keeps hitting you and cracking you across the jaw. Yeah.
And then lyrically speaking, it's just like, holy shit. The guy's talking about slitting his wrists and then bleeding all over his wife's shit.
Yes.
and then he dies.
Yes.
But then you find out you don't go to the afterlife when you kill yourself.
Yes.
So now he's just a ghost in his house, like watching his wife get fucked by another man.
Yes.
I was just like, what the fuck?
And there's something so
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's funny and it's a little depressing at the same time. I don't know why.
Right?
Like I kind of feel for the ghost a little bit. I'm like, ah, damn, dude. Like.
Yeah, dude, he just wanted to escape his shitty
Right.
life, and now he just gets to sit in purgatory watching it even be shittier.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think I don't know if we want to get into our favorite tracks, but I think the third track. So my two favorite tracks are the third track and the last track for sure. Those are the standouts for me.
Yeah, definitely.
And the third track, it's titled Beyond Human. It's, I don't know, there's such an energy in like the tonal shifts and interplay, like the interplay of kind of like the way it kind of just pitch shifts. I found it so invigorating how it kind of goes from, chunkier hardcore headbanging kind of riffage, and then it kind of goes into these little pockets of groove, almost like it kind of, like there's just such like a neat dynamic, and there's also like that really cool little passage where they're doing some like almost black metal blasting, like they just kind of have like that really intense beat, and then they just kind of pull back from it. And I don't know, like there's so many just like genre pitch shifts in there, and they kind of slather it together with just kind of like that mathy hardcore, like that mathcore kind of schizophrenic, kind of nutty, unhinged sound.
Yeah, definitely. Like everything just fits so well though.
Yes.
Like all those noises, I'm just like, dude, how did they even figure this
I
out?
know.
And it's only like a 3 minutes and like
Right.
27 seconds long. It's like what?
It's a short, and the lyrics too are really awesome. It reminded me kind of like one of the first South Park episodes. Remember when Cartman gets he gets the anal probe? Like this whole like, and it's like this. Like this guy is almost like having delusions of grandeur or something, or he's just like he's so in his world, and he's just like, oh yeah, like I had this. I was staring at the stars too long, and I go and it's like I've been busy cracking the crop circle code, and it's just like
It's like what the fuck?
yeah, and it's just like it's completely mad, but for whatever reason, the lyrics and like the instrumentation, it's
so good.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious.
I like how the song ends lyrically too. Like if you're gonna kill yourself, then fucking kill yourself.
Yes.
Anything beats watching you cry with that gun in your mouth every fucking night.
Yes.
It's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
there's so much anger to it.
Yeah, and I think that is something to note as well. And we're not condoning this. People, like I don't know, like just with the suicide stuff going on.
Yeah, we're just dark human beings.
Right. But the way he just like screams the lyrics, like there's just so much conviction and there's just so much ferocity behind it. And the lyrics are just so dark, and that's probably one of my favorite lines. Honestly, what you just said, like I was just like, damn, that is a fucking lyric. I don't know. It just has
It like sits with you for like a little bit. It's like whoa.
Exactly. No, and I love that they kind of push that. Like just kind of, they wrap it up. They kind of do this weird zany story about being probed by aliens, and then by the end of it, like he's. I don't know, like there's some sentiment in kind of like this mania he's experiencing. Yeah. But you have any other tracks you want to talk about?
Yeah, there's just a lot of like little bits in a lot of these tracks. A lot of like some of them are so short that it's like you don't really get to like take much from it in a way. That's how I felt, at least from like track 5 to maybe 8.
Yeah,
but there's some good parts in each track still. Like number 5, the Book of God.
Yes,
there's just kind of this cool like instrumental like guitar thing going on, and the drums are just super heavy. I never know how to describe this. It's that sound Gojira does too, where it's like this guitar just kind of like wails out, but it's just like this weird metallic like drudgy sound.
Right.
I don't know, if I was a musician, I probably could describe it.
Oh
better,
yeah, of course.
I love that sound.
Yeah, and then Yeah, I really like the comfort measured song, the comfort measures, the 6th track. I thought there was a pretty good lyric in there when he was talking about what did he say? I just want some comfort. If you prayed to God for a savior, God would send you Christopher Scarver. And I was like, who the fuck is that? And then I was like, oh, that's the guy that killed Jeffrey Dahmer in prison. I was like, God damn, that is such a good line. Like, just like so many zingers that just are belted out.
Right? I had to Google that too, and I was just like, oh my god.
Yes, exactly. And that song is great too, because it kind of has this disorienting, kind of off-kilter, mathy bit, and yeah, there's like this really neat crushing drum pattern that comes partway through the track. And I also really liked, and I can't describe, I wish I knew how to play instruments, but the 9th track, the "Too Fucked to Yiff," I had to look up what Yiff was, and it looks like that word was hijacked by furries, and I'm sorry that is the case. But that, I guess that means to yell and to sniff simultaneously. I don't know how you would ever use that word in context. I don't get it.
I don't know, but I'm gonna start trying to do it.
Yep, me too. But there's a riff in there, kind of like halfway through, and I don't know how they do it or like what, if they're using a certain pedal, but just like the way the you know what I'm talking about probably, but like it kind of has just like this really awesome I don't know, like there's just the way this riff comes in, and it kind of comes in with this groove, and it just kind of builds out the rest of the song. And behind the guitar you get like these really slick little bass movements going on, like the bass is kind of doing some work, and I really love hearing that movement as well. And I think overall we could mention just how like all the instruments come through, and there's so much, like when the grooves come in, like you hear all the instruments, and it just has like a really nice punch to it.
Everything just moves together so nice.
Yeah, and for as chaotic as it is, and as like absurd as, like some of the lyrics and some of like the hilarity of it, like it all maintains its sanity in a way. Like you listen to it and you're just like, oh shit, I just need to listen to that again. It literally is just like this. It's such an intoxicating listen.
Maybe that like speaks on human consciousness on like a further level.
Right, right.
We have all this crap going on in our lives, and like everything's just so chaotic. But something just holds it all together. Yes. In most cases, at least.
Right.
You're just trying to get through it.
Exactly. But do you know what I'm talking about on that song, the "Too Fucked to Yiff"? Like that riff. There's just like that riff,
oh yeah.
And I can't describe it, but it's just such a fucking slick and awesome riff. Just the way, I don't know, I can't describe like the tone of it, but it's such a good song.
I can't describe it either. It's like, it's just one of those like riffs you just want to play the song over again to hear it again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool.
But I think overall my favorite track is probably the last one, and that's just because it's slow.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
There's so many great things about that track. Like, well, at least the first 2 minutes is kind of like the rest of the album, where it's just, that hardcore, just punkish vibe, and like the lyrics are just like, oh my god.
They're hilarious. Yeah, they're hilarious and they're great.
Yeah, like I come on my stomach and I love it, but I get a sick rash. Like what?
Yes.
And then it starts talking about Metallica.
Yep.
It's just like, and then at the end, it's just like fuck Dave Mustaine, like fuck Dave Mustaine.
Right. Yes.
I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, and then you get to the last like 3/4 of the track, and it becomes like this whole nother sound altogether.
Yeah, it kind of just like swells into like this nice piece of ambience, or kind of like this churning swell of like ambience and noise and weird field recordings, or just like weird sounds. But I honestly really like the opening riff, or like the first few minutes of that the most, just because there's such like a groove to it, and just like the way the drums are kind of clopping along with the riff, and it just kind of has like this
super catchy.
Yeah, it's like super catchy, and it has like this nice sludginess to it. I don't know, it just kind of has this grit, and Yeah, and I really enjoy that riff the most, and like that's a really great moment. And it's what's cool about this record too, or what's interesting is that it's it's a 24-minute record, and like this song is a third of it. Like the last song is like this huge song. It takes up like the last third. But I really enjoyed. I think that this is my favorite one, and yeah, the lyrics. I didn't really understand what they were saying, and then I went and like read them, a couple days ago or earlier today. Yeah, and he was saying, I want to talk about art with Lars Ulrich, about the art critic. I looked at him straight in his eye and say, I don't know art, but I know what I like. May I please borrow your white leather jacket? And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I was just...
He's just totally bagging on myself.
Yeah, but I just love it. Like, I don't know. Like,
it's so funny.
There's something so manic about it that it's just like, man, I want to, like, know more about, like just how this guy, like, constructs his, like, just, like, his thought process on, like, constructing these lyrics.
Yeah, I want to hang out with him. Like,
yeah, no, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Oh. So good.
Yeah, but would you recommend this one? What are your thoughts on this overall?
Oh yeah, if you're like some deranged human who loves just dark humor and just funny but thoughtful lyrics, and just the just chaotic hardcore with just catchy riffs, and I just love this album. I listened to it so many times, passively and like super intently too.
Yes,
it's a good one. It's definitely also one of my favorite albums of the year so far.
Yeah, so far, it's definitely up there. And I would just add, I think I've already touched on this, just the energy of the album. And even though the songs are a number of the songs are very succinct, very small and short, they all pack a really, like, they just have, I don't know, just the energy that exudes from this record. There's so much. I really am thirsting to eventually see these guys live. I know that we're, pretty far away, but I have my fingers crossed one day I'll be able to see these guys. There was a really funny video, too, where the guitarist, did you see that on their Facebook? It was so funny. He, like, took the guitar and, like, threw it, and it, like, hit the singer just, like, smack in the face as he was laying on the ground.
Nice.
Oh, man. It looked like it hurt.
Bludgeoned his face.
Yeah, like, he didn't, I don't know if he intentionally threw at him, but he, like, threw it off because, like, their set was over, and it just, like, fucking hit him. And I laughed pretty hard, and I don't know if I should have, but...
I think they would appreciate it.
Yeah, but it was pretty fucking funny, and I don't know. It seems like their live show would be pretty insane. So
it'd be fun for sure.
Yeah. But
that kind of actually makes me think of the album cover, how it's literally like a dude holding a drill up to his head.
Yes, or is it a drill? Oh, it is a drill, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, I thought it was like an alien ray gun for the longest time. I honestly don't know anything, or I don't pay enough attention.
Bruh.
Yeah, and then you got like the tentacles, kind of. Yeah, it's a.
Yeah, you got like some weird tentacle hentai stuff going on.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But it's a great album. I highly recommend this one, especially if, as Connor said, you like weird, zany, outsider sounding stuff, and it's such a weird amalgam of sounds too. You got like hardcore, mathcore, and like just like a bunch of different, I don't know, like there's so many different little pockets of influence. I think there's a lot you can appreciate in this one.
You've been listening to Voices from Corners Unknown, episode 12. That's you could listen to one episode a month if you wanted to now, huh?
Yes.
But yeah, feedback. This was a fun episode, and look forward to the next one.
Yep. Yeah, thank you guys for your continued support, and we'll see you in hopefully a few weeks, and let us know what you think of the records, if it turned you on to anything, and if we turned you on to anything interesting. That's kind of what we hope to do here. At least that's what I think.
That's our purpose in life.
Yeah. So hopefully you folks enjoy some of these records, and please leave us a comment or send us an email and just let us know if anything interests you, or if there are any albums you're interested in us reviewing. Feel free to send those along, and we'll consider it.